Good morning, late patriots. Today is September 7th, 2021, 6:31 a.m. Central Time. It's actually probably a couple minutes earlier, but that's what my watch says. Anyway, it says new concept on my screen. However, it really isn't for you guys per se. Because I feel like talking because I just feel like talking. And it's going to be about politics, obviously, in the wonderful fucking fucked up world around us. But the new concept is I moved my mic to my other desk that I actually work on stuff. Because usually when I do videos, I literally am talking to a fucking screen. And that's all it is. So now I'm working on things. So we'll see how well that goes. If I pause, curse, or something in that nature. Anyway, it is amazing to me how shocking it is. I don't even know the fucking word to use at this point. That this administration is attempting to change the news cycle from their botched debacle, fucked up withdrawal, if you want to even call it that, defeat, whatever you want to call it, from Afghanistan to build back better. And he's trying to talk about his stupid 3 whatever trillion dollar budget that the House passed, in a sense of starting to debate to like finalize the bullshit bill or whatever. They didn't officially pass it. The Senate hasn't done anything because they haven't come back in session. So they're like going on this tour to do that type of shit. He's going to like New Jersey and New York today to go see damage from the hurricane that made it up there, that flooded everything. And Kamala Harris, like, it's unbelievable. This bitch should be standing behind him every single time he's had one of these press conferences where his ass says some ridiculous shit about this being a great thing and how much they've accomplished. Which, seriously, I'm ready to find that guy and punch him so goddamn hard in the face that he has another aneurysm. She should be standing there behind him, but she's not. And then her ass ends up in California to fundraise for Gavin Newsom. His ass is getting recalled, and I think it's interesting that Larry Elder ended up actually jumping into that race. He kind of hinted on it a while back and all this stuff, but I wasn't sure he was actually going to do it, and then he did, and now he's the leading Republican in that race. Honestly, I like him. I've always liked him in general, but I like him, and I actually do like Jenner, and I think, to be quite honest, I think Jenner would be actually a better candidate, governor, whatever the fuck, than Larry Elder, because I don't think California is ready for a Larry Elder. He is very conservative and has very strong feelings about stuff. Basically, like, I can't imagine many of you disagreeing with what he has to say about all kinds of stuff. But Jenner has very conservative views too. But she has a different compassionate way about her, and she even kind of says that towards immigrants, meaning like she agrees there needs to be borders. The wall needs to be built. They need to there shouldn't be any sanctuary city type shit. But it's like, once they're here, we need to find a way to get them, integrated into the system type of shit. And blah, blah, blah. And, she's just more, I don't know, she's just more of a Californian Republican. So I'm surprised that Larry Elder has kind of passed her, to be honest. But beside the point, so that stupid bitch has been out in California doing that shit, which is unbelievable, and nobody's calling her out on it, of course. And this whole situation is just absolutely ridiculous. Like, it's amazing how they're trying to change the news cycle from this botched bullshit in Afghanistan to talk about his Build Back Better plan crap of passing this 3 trillion some odd budget that's actually, according to the Office of Budget Management or whatever the fuck, OMB, says it's going to be over like $5 trillion once said and done. So, what? Like, okay. For, like, how can you think? You have to be, like, sincere. Like, that's the problem, guys. People are so fucking stupid in this country that it's so painful. My generation, the generation coming up, whatever the fuck you want to call it, are so stupid that they have an attention span of a gnat. But the thing is there's so many veterans in this country, especially Iraq, Afghanistan veterans, since it's been a 20-year war, that exist, that are not going to let this go. Okay? So this attempt to change the news cycle to this bullshit is kind of entertaining to a degree, but the fact it's working on some people really pisses me off. Like, really, really pisses me off. And the House comes back today at 10 a.m. and the Senate comes back today at, I want to say 1 p.m. Both those timings are Eastern Standard Time. And I don't know really what's on the calendar, because the only thing that shows up on the calendar is what the House passed, which was this stupid, that stupid black guy that died. What the hell is his name? He's so obnoxious. Conway? Anyway, the black guy who died, that was a civil rights guy. Anyway, they had his bill, they passed it. Supposedly that's going up to the Senate. And, they started this whole let's talk about bullshit, $1 trillion crap. Well, that's what's going to be happening soon in both chambers. Regarding anything else, there's probably some presidential nominees that need to go through and all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. So that's what's going on there. And I'll get into the Afghanistan thing a little bit later, because I know it's something that's bothering me. So I talk about it a lot probably, and I may continue to, who knows. But I want to pass that for a second and talk about this Texas abortion law that went into effect. Okay. First of all, what the Supreme Court did, people are so dumb, they don't even know what happened. It's painful. Hang on a second. It's painful that Democrats are able to spew off bullshit on their Twitter feeds or in conferences or whatever and say stuff, and then of course the mainstream media repeats it and people believe it to be true. They acted as though the fucking Supreme Court ruled on the merits of this law. They didn't rule on any merit of this law. All they did was not approve the emergency stay, which is just a motion, or an appeal, emergency appeal, which is just a motion of the court, to prevent it from going into effect. It was had nothing to do with the constitutionality. It wasn't challenging anything. Blah, blah, blah. But by every tweet that you saw, because the only reason I go on Twitter, besides people direct message me there, because I don't go on Facebook and stuff, and that's the only way people can direct message me unless you're on Patreon or you use my email, is to look at politicians, both sides of the aisle, what they're whining about, saying shit they're mouthing off, they shouldn't be mouthing off, all kinds of stuff. So I was shocked that people actually believe, I guess that's not surprising, what these Democrats are saying, that Roe versus Wade is in jeopardy. And then Amy, what the fuck's her name, Klobuchar, said some stupid tweet about, if you thought if you had any question about how these judges would rule, now you know, because they're talking about the justices that obviously Trump put on the court. Listen up, people. Not only was it an emergency appeal to prevent it from going into effect, which obviously was denied, the other reason it was appealed, regardless of what Sotomayor said and Breyer said, is that the people that brought it to the court to begin with didn't have the jurisdiction. I can't remember how they said it, but let's just put it this way. Didn't have the jurisdiction to prevent a law from being enacted. Okay? So in other words, the wrong people brought this case, if you want to call it that, this motion or this appeal to the Supreme Court. So they couldn't, even if they wanted to do the emergency appeal, okay, the motion to prevent the law from going into effect, they couldn't because of precedent. The wrong people went to the court to do it. Period. That was precedent. And for people to say, especially Breyer, Sotomayor, say, this goes against all precedent, this is unconstitutional, blah, 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 they didn't vote right and all this stuff. It's like, bitch, this was precedent. This is precedent for your court. The wrong people brought it to the court. You fucking loser. So, of course, they voted against it, and everybody took it as Roe versus Wade is gonna be the end of the world. Okay, I got a couple things to say about that. First of all, as all these liberal losers like to say about COVID, follow the science. Follow the science. Well, okay. Since Roe versus Wade was, I don't even want to say enacted, okay, Roe versus Wade was put into law by the Supreme Court, wasn't even congressional law. Science has changed, okay? We didn't know back then when the actual fetus had a heartbeat. We didn't know a lot of shit. Didn't know a lot of shit back then, did we? So the science has changed. So now we know that the fetus has a heartbeat within 6 weeks, which was the whole purpose of this Texas law, by the way. Once the fetus has a heartbeat, you can't fucking abort it, you sick motherfucker. And I agree with that. I don't agree with abortions to begin with unless, one, you are going to die from it, okay? From having the kid. Some sort of complication is going to happen, and they cannot do a C-section and save the kid. Boom. 2, it was a rape. Boom. 3, it has to do with incest. Boom. Those are the only 3 fucking reasons abortion should even be considered. It is not birth control. And for people who fight tooth and nail for others to have access to abortions is so fucking weird. It's not even normal. It makes no sense. And some jackass, I think it was Maxine Waters, I don't even remember, said some stupid shit about we're not gonna go back to the days where we had to have back alley abortions. What in the fuck? Are you serious right now? Did you really just share that dumbass opinion in the world? Really? Oh my god. I can't believe they said that. If that was her. Regardless, whatever retard said that needs to be bashed in the head. So it's like, wow, you're kidding me. You are absolutely kidding me. So obviously, shit has changed since Roe versus Wade. We know when a fetus is an actual human being, has feeling and everything, okay? It's no longer just some, I don't even know what you want to fucking call it, tissue inside you. Who knows? I don't know. I don't have kids. I don't have any interest in having children. I made it so that I can't have children, so I don't have this problem, and I have no intention of ever getting an abortion, and I made sure that would never happen. Because I'm responsible. Anyway, beside the point, so that was absolutely ridiculous last week. And the Supreme Court actually did rule it in effect that they left it open so that the law can be challenged by court cases. So it's not like they closed any doors to anything. It was just seriously one of the dumbest things that people believe. It's obnoxious. So, like, the Democrats think a bunch of people are going to forget about this Afghanistan thing if they talk enough about their Build Back Better. They're going to think that the Supreme Court's really actually fucked up, okay, by pushing a narrative that isn't true so they can expand the court, because that's what they're attempting to do. They want to expand the court to 14 judges. It's like, people, when you don't get your goddamn way, you are children. Absolute children. If you don't get your way, you want to change and blow up the system so you get your way. It's obnoxious that people don't see that. I mean, it's the same thing with the Senate. Blow up the filibuster so we don't need the other side's opinion. Expand the court so we get everything our way. What is going on in this country? Not just the politicians, but the people. People are fucking stupid. I can't believe it. Every day it gets worse. Every day it gets worse. I just, it's obnoxious. And some days I just have to, like, turn shit off. And usually, I don't even watch TV. I watch a small, portable DVD player. And I watch sitcoms that I have seen thousands of times at this point. There are just comedy sitcoms or, like, drama sitcoms and shit. While I work on stuff, because the world is exhausting. And it just is. It's just exhausting. And, like, the new sitcoms suck ass. I've yet to find one that's any good, but then again, I don't watch TV enough to even care. So I get stuff recommended to me, and I'll take a look at it, and then it's like, whatever. So anyway, that's ridiculous. So I guess I will check out the Senate and the House today to see what they're talking about. Oh, but let's go back to Afghanistan for a minute. Apparently, there was some pregnant chick that needed to get out of Afghanistan that was being held up by the Taliban. Even though she had the right papers, she got a hold of the State Department. State Department said, well, they're letting you through, blah, 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 and all this shit. Long story short, they weren't. She couldn't get out. She got a hold of somebody else's office. I think it was a congressional member. And they got her out through different means of someone who's in the military doing this shit. And the State Department, because they got her out, the State Department took credit for it. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You got the balls to take credit for something you had nothing to do with. Trying to spin your horrible decisions into something good and hope that nobody sees the truth on Twitter or on Fox News is your prayer. It's obnoxious. And I gotta say, this, and I'll end this. This Afghanistan situation has blown my fucking mind. I don't think that reality has truly hit me. It slowly is, but not truly, that we are no longer in Afghanistan. And I know that might sound weird to a lot of you, but it's very strange to know we're not there anymore. And they showed a picture on Fox and Friends this morning of the Taliban head. I don't know if they graffitied it or just took a flag and posted it on our embassy. And knowing that 9/11 is around the corner, to know the people we went and were fighting for 20 years that were helping Al Qaeda and all that shit. The people that we were fighting for 20 years. 20 years later, On 9/11, their flag is flying above our embassy in that country. To think that, I don't care if you were military or not, to think that as an American has to make you nauseous. And if it doesn't, then I don't know what you're thinking. If Biden has the balls, and he will, to talk and not just disappear on 9/11, what he needs to do is have some, like, speech that is already fucking recorded and send it to the news outlets and have him say whatever he has to say. But instead, he's going to go to some event, whether it be the 9/11 site or something of that nature, and he's going to speak. Every single person that is at the event, wherever he is, needs to turn their back on this motherfucker while he speaks. Every single person. This guy fucked up so goddamn bad, it hurts. And it's not that he just fucked up, it's he blatantly lied about everything. He knew it was going down in Afghanistan. He knew the Taliban was moving. Everybody knew the Taliban was taking over that country very quickly because provinces were just going down, 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 down every few weeks, you know? So it was obvious. And then he had that conversation with Ghani, basically saying, you know, you need to change the perception about what's going on. So he obviously knew. His mushy brain motherfucker knew what was going on. Then he came to the American public and lied about it. So they should turn their backs if he really has the balls to go out and say anything about 9/11. Because that is nauseating to think that he will do that. And I don't know what the fuck he'll say. I don't know what... I don't. Whatever speechwriter he has, I would quit. I wouldn't even want that job that day. I'd be like, dude, you're on your own. I don't know what you need to say or what you should say, but I got no words for you. But I mean, this is so jacked up. Actually, this is the feeling, right? This is the feeling. Because I have been trying to figure out how to explain to my husband, because and I've talked to entirely too many veterans, and I don't mean that in a negative way, but like people I haven't spoken to in years, that I didn't even know where the hell they were or existed or anything, and everybody's upset about this, but I couldn't figure out the feeling that I have now, because I was and am one of the people that thought we should have kept Bagram Air Base and stayed there and kept a very, very small counterterrorism intelligence force behind, period, for a couple reasons. One, because of what happened, the Taliban was moving very quickly around that country, taking shit over. So we needed to have that intelligence. Al-Qaeda is there, regardless of what mushy brains seem to have indicated they were gone or something. They are there, regardless of how you feel about how 9/11 went down, whether it was a conspiracy or not. These people I saw in person. Okay, they kill people, they torture people, they do awful things to people. And if they get a chance, they will come here to America and do the same thing, which really concerns me about our vetting process, because our vetting process doesn't fucking exist. And there's going to be thousands of people into this country that do not belong here. 30% of the population of Afghanistan actually feels that some suicide bombings are legitimate and justified. Okay? These people come from an entirely different world than ours. They will not assimilate no matter where they go. Period. They have an entirely different thought process about women, marriage, children, philosophy, religion, everything. They come from an entirely different world. So for them to come to America because we feel we owe them something, because we fucked their country up. Okay, I get it, but they don't belong here. They don't. I don't know what to do with them, but they don't belong here. So we should have stayed in Bagram. At a minimum, been able to keep the Taliban at bay and have this ridiculous government with Ghani, who was corrupt and fucking stupid, and we were funding. I don't know, all that should have gone down differently, however that worked. And have them at least have some sort of normal life to a degree. Because, and I'll say, so there's two things I'm going to say here. So I believed we should have had that force there. Absolutely. Because then we could have CIA there. We could have the FBI there. We could have any other ABC agency go in there. We could have special ops go in there and do all kinds of stuff. The other reason to have that particular base, besides the fact it was a fortress, is because that base was used for that entire region. I'm talking about Asia, Russia, Ukraine, everywhere around that, Iran, Iraq, everything. That base was used for the Middle East, even Israel, okay, to get to Israel and stuff. If needed. Not needed when they have their airport available, but beside the point. Bagram Air Base was used for everything. We shut down every single air base. We have nothing in the Middle East now. And if you think there's one country over there besides Israel that will let us land there to do anything, you are fucking wrong. We have cut everything off. This over-the-head capability that Biden and his State Department and these generals keep saying, and Austin, Secretary of Defense, are saying, is a lie. It's another lie. We have no over-the-head capabilities. You're fucking hilarious. We have a satellite. We have live satellites that you can see into different countries, and you can watch something happen, but it's gonna take you quite a few hours to fly in a goddamn drone from fucking the Gulf or somewhere else, and by the time you get there, guess what? Your target's probably gone. And then you only have a couple hours flying in that airspace before you have to turn around and go back. So either we're going to be losing drones because they're running out of, power, for lack of a better term, or we're not going to be able to have the capability to have what we had. Period. We are dark. We have no intelligence. We have no one we can trust because we fucked up everything in Afghanistan. No one's going to want to work with us. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. So there's two things I'll say to this, and I'll end this video. I couldn't figure out the true feeling that I'm having about Afghanistan that is so disturbing. Besides the fact I've been able to suppress, shove back, whatever you want to call it, a lot of things I dealt with that I haven't thought about in years are coming to the surface, and it is disturbing me and causing a problem. But the feeling I'm having is as if you lost someone you really cared about. You'll never be able to talk to them again. You'll never be able to see them again. You don't know what they're thinking. Just that whole thought process. That's the best way I can describe it. I feel like I lost someone really important to me. And I'm not talking about a person in Afghanistan or anything. I'm talking about that connection. Because I had a different type of connection to Afghanistan. It was an intelligence connection to the entire region. And now it's dark. It's gone. I can't call anyone to help anyone. There's no contracting position I could take that would do anything to do with that region. It's like they died. That entire area died to me. And it's a very strange feeling. So besides the bullshit I'm now dealing with and having issues with, that is the feeling I have with Afghanistan. And it is very weird. And that is the best way I can describe it to my husband. And a very good friend of mine said, because I was like, none of this shit was worth it at this point. None of it. And he made a good point that, you know, we gave a generation in Afghanistan a chance to understand what it's like to live, I guess you could say, as people, right? They weren't under Taliban rule. They weren't under hardcore Sharia law and all this stuff. The girls were going to school. They were becoming doctors, judges, you name it. They actually had jobs in education. And that's true. We did do that. And I think that that's great. And then they supposedly say, you know, we kept the homeland secure for 20 years, which is also true and possible. But what he said was more important to me. But in the same instance, knowing that those people that grew up, that are in their mid-20s, okay, they were born under Taliban rule, not old enough to remember shit, that are either in their teens, early 20s, maybe even 30s, their entire lives will change and have changed overnight. And unfortunately, the ones that are younger, those teenagers, those early 20-year-olds, those 20-year-olds, will be the females to die first, because they will try and rise up and have their voices heard, and they will be squashed, and they will be tortured, and they will be brought to the center of the cities and made an example of physically in many different ways to shut people up. Those are the first people that will die, because they will not want to live under Taliban rule, because they know what it's like not to. So they will think they have the ability to change things because we changed things for them. And that breaks my heart to know that. But I guess knowing for a little while that they had a different type of life and knew what it was like to live differently, I guess, live with a certain amount of freedom, is good. But I only can pray that they don't die in a horrific way. But my fear is they will. They will be the first to rise up because they think their voices need to be heard, and they will learn very quickly. They will get snuffed out faster than they ever thought. So anyway, this is Are You Ready For It? Take care, guys. Have a great day.